Years ago, humanity successfully established colonies and settlements on Mars, where they built cities and villages. Among these pioneers was Nikolai, who set up a farm on the Red Planet, working alongside his family and a team of helper robots. However, even in this distant world, the long-reaching influence of the oligarchy was felt. Fast forward to the year 2085, and we meet a young man named Constantine. His primary focus is on accumulating wealth, and he readily takes on any project that promises profitability. In contrast, his friend Nikolai places his faith in intellect and innovation. Constantine becomes deeply engrossed in the creation of a device with the potential to transfer one's consciousness. He aptly names this invention the translocator, and with remarkable quickness, devises a compelling slogan to market it. Yet Nikolai, ever the voice of reason, cautions Constantine against premature enthusiasm, as the translocator's effectiveness remains uncertain. In a bid to prove his device's capabilities, Constantine makes an unexpected move. Instead of bringing a rat, as initially planned, he persuades a man named Vitaly to participate in an experiment involving a consciousness swap with a dog. Vitaly, motivated by the prospect of returning home, agrees to the unusual exchange, knowing how much his wife adores dogs. Nikolai, however, adamantly refuses to subject a human to such experiments, despite Constantine already having compensated Vitaly with borrowed money from his mother. With desperation setting in and the need for concrete results, Constantine decides to take matters into his own hands and carries out the daring experiment himself. Nikolai arrives to find the man already convulsing within the force field of the device. He attempts to deactivate the machine, but at that very moment, it shuts down by itself, indicating that the transference is complete. Oddly, the test subject remains completely silent, leaving the anxious men seeking confirmation of the experiment's success from the dog. However, the dog offers no response, while Vitaly, the human subject, breaks the silence, signaling that the experiment has failed. The two men react quite differently to this setback. Constantine feels a deep sense of shame, realizing that at the age of 25, he's still reliant on his mother for financial support. Meanwhile, Nikolai proposes an alternative plan. He suggests launching a company with the slogan, "A robot in every home," and aims to produce affordable helper robots for every citizen. If that venture doesn't succeed, he has a backup plan, purchasing land on Mars to establish a farm there. 15 years later, Nikolai revels in family life on Mars, where he skillfully manages his robotic farm. He creates reports about his farm, showcasing the dairy products he's obtained through hard work. In addition, he introduces his helper robots, Galosha, Stepan, and Valera. Amidst this, the sentient tractor, Mitya, grows frustrated with his forgetful owner, but Nikolai promptly addresses the situation. In the situation, Nikolai waves at someone. He also has a favorite hobby, which is breeding copters. This hobby greatly irritates his wife, Nadezhda, because he spends a lot of money on it. To deflect her complaints, he claims he's shooting a promotional video. In the video, Nikolai showcases a drink made from tea fungus and introduces his eldest daughter, Marina. However, Marina isn't enthusiastic about farm life at all. Afterward, Nikolai introduces his younger daughter, Lyudmila, who has a passion for constructing cyber weather installations shaped like Russian birches. There are 4 of these birches that control the weather in the entire region, a fact Lyudmila enthusiastically demonstrates to the audience. Following this, Nikolai settles into his cyber bread box and flies to the landfill, which regularly receives waste from Earth. There, he stumbles upon a discarded but fully functional robot. Nadezhda is furious with her husband for bringing various pieces of junk into their home. However, Nikolai plans to name the discovery Vova and integrate it into their household. Nikolai brings the robot into their home, and Narijita, albeit reluctantly, agrees to accommodate it. However, she prefers to refer to the robot as Vanya. In conclusion, Nikolai extends an invitation to good-hearted people to come to Mars, build, develop, and enjoy life. This sentiment is echoed by his entire family. However, as they relax in the evening amidst the serene Russian natural landscape, Nadezhda harbors serious doubts about whether anyone will respond to their call. Meanwhile, the CEO of a major corporation, Konstantin Baragozin, is enjoying some time by the pool while contemplating his portrait on the moon. His peace is disrupted when he's informed about the arrival of shareholders. Irritated, he wonders why his assistant, Pavel, couldn't come up with an excuse. However, Pavel has already exhausted all possible reasons Konstantin could use to decline the meeting. Just then, a button pops off from the CEO's jacket, landing right in the hands of a robot who is promptly dismissed. Konstantin becomes infuriated and insults the shareholders as they enter his office. They begin to ask uncomfortable questions, and failing to provide clear answers, Konstantin is threatened with a change in leadership. He reminds them that Ajev's dynamics is his brainchild, and that he was the one who devised the slogan about putting robots in every home. In response, they assert their control over the majority of shares. Konstantin, desperate to present a positive plan, confides in his assistant, but struggles to come up with a better idea. In a moment of inspiration, Pavel proposes the ambitious idea of constructing a new factory on Mars. shareholders show enthusiasm for the proposal, granting Konstantin a 1-month window to execute it. He delegates the responsibility of commencing construction to Pavel. However, a complication arises when the eccentric landowner, who possesses the ideal Martian property, adamantly refuses to sell it, regardless of the offer. Determined to resolve this, Konstantin insists on meeting this obstinate individual and is astonished to find his childhood friend, Nikolai. Meanwhile, on Mars, a new day dawns. Lyudmila explores her father's old inventions and uncovers the translocator. Nikolai, more interested in their current task, dismisses her inquiries. They activate a new robot that begins searching for a rag to clean the floors. Just then, spaceships touch down on the farm, and a delegation led by Konstantin disembarks from the largest one. Konstantin eagerly embraces his old friend, but Nikolai is less than thrilled by the guests. Resentful of Konstantin's takeover of their joint company, Nikolai avoids discussing his accomplishments. Konstantin proposes burying the hatchet and offers a substantial sum of money, enough for Nikolai to live anywhere, even on Jupiter's moon, Europa. In response, he delivers a punch to Konstantin's face. Furious, the director signals his assistant to announce a decree declaring the corporation as the owner of Mars, leading to the immediate demolition of the farm's structures. This is when Nadezhda steps into the conflict, but Konstantin's henchmen capture her family and lock them in a hangar. Realizing that the robot Vanya is missing and still dutifully cleaning, Nikolai outwits the guards and escapes from the hangar. Meanwhile, Konstantin's assistant attempts to convince his boss to show leniency, pointing out the illegality of evicting people from their homes. He loses his job right away. Meanwhile, Konstantin stumbles upon a sink and begins washing his hands, taking off his fancy jacket. The robot Vanya confuses the jacket for a cleaning cloth and uses it to clean the floor. Konstantin gets really mad and chases after the robot. Just then, the workers start taking apart the farm's generators, and Nikolai rushes into the barn, pushing his former friend. Konstantin lands squarely in the translocator chair, and the device activates. When everything settles down, Nikolai tries to activate Vanya, but she suddenly starts speaking in Konstantin's voice and threatens to wreck the entire farm. When the robot sees Konstantin's body, it starts screaming, realizing that its mind has ended up in Vanya's body. Nikolai is happy that the translocator is working, and the robot gets angry, demanding to switch back. Meanwhile, Konstantin's body starts acting strangely, catching his assistant's attention. Pavel orders that the suffering CEO be taken away, ignoring the bothersome piece of machinery. Nikolai watches as Konstantin is loaded onto a spaceship. In this altered scenario where his family is located, Nikolai rushes after them. However, the spaceship takes off, leaving Nikolai and Vanya, now housing the CEO's consciousness, under the night sky. During the night, Nikolai repairs his car, enduring Konstantin's stern reproaches. Konstantin insists that Nikolai urgently transports him back to Earth, necessitating a journey to the train station. Nikolai scolds the incapable CEO, who, in response, sets off on foot, but becomes stranded in Martian sand. Come morning, Nikolai locates him, and upon hearing Konstantin's promise not to meddle with the farm, rescues the robot from the sand trap. Together, they head to the train station, braving a Martian sandstorm along the way. Meanwhile, Konstantin's assistant returns home, where he is warmly greeted by his wife and children. He has to admit that he lost his job, prompting Galina to remind him of their mounting apartment subscription bills. To finance the car's new makeover, they'll need to give up on fancy Italian wallpaper and designer furniture. Also, tomorrow, their refrigerator subscription expires, and they might consider seeking leniency from Baragonson. After all, it's all about family. Meanwhile, on Mars, Nikolai breaks free from the sand-covered car and uses Vanya's voice to locate her head. He continues searching and eventually finds Vanya's body, which he must catch up to. After assembling the robot, he unearths the car, and Vanya confesses that the train they're rushing to is the last one, as they must keep the new factory construction a secret. Eventually, the couple manages to extract the car, but it refuses to start. So, Nikolai compels Vanya to apologize to those who might have been offended. Following a bout of laughter at the absurdity, the car roars to life and races toward the train station. Meanwhile, Pavel arrives at the office, encountering damaged robots and scattered belongings. He finds the CEO incoherent, who compels him to ingest soap. Concerned, Pavel calls a doctor, who delivers a startling diagnosis. Baragozin's memories and personality have been wiped, leaving him with the intellect of a 1-year-old child. On the other hand, Nikolai's car approaches the Martian city when an elderly woman signals them, seeking a ride to the train station. The old lady takes a liking to Vanya, reminiscing about her own robot, Grishka. She reveals that she sold her land to Baragozin's company, received a gift, and secured a train ticket. Nikolai asks her to share her thoughts on the oligarch, knowing he can relay people's opinions to him. The elderly lady starts expressing her desires, which Vanya must confirm. Eventually, the group reaches the train station. Nikolai bids farewell to the car, sending it home. They, along with the robot, board an interorbital elevator and ascend to the platforms. However, there are no available tickets for the Earthbound train. Nikolai attempts to negotiate with the conductor while Vanya notices a ticket with their elderly fellow passenger. Back on Earth, Galina seeks information about the incident from her husband. She learns that Baragazin won't regain normal speech and thinking abilities for at least a year or two. She advises Pavel not to disclose anything, become the corporation's leader, and mold a good person out of the former CEO. Pavel disagrees, and he pauses her. He endeavors to fulfill her wishes, but she pressures him. In reality, she's just a hologram, much like the children he subscribed to, who bear no resemblance to him. After voicing his grievances, Pavel unpauses Galina, who becomes furious, accusing him of not comprehending her intentions. She's doing it all for his success and wealth. He deserves it. Pavel asks her to reduce the vanilla. Opting for the quotation choice, the hologram accedes to her husband's requests, but maintains the pressure on him. In the meantime, Vanya hands a ticket to Nikolai, and the couple boards the train. However, the man glimpses the elderly lady from earlier through the window, unable to find her ticket, leading him to understand where Vanya had acquired it. Assuming the persona of Constantine, Vanya pledges to arrange a shuttle for the elderly lady once they arrive on Earth. Nevertheless, Nikolai comprehends the genuine value of such assurances. He insists that the robot apologizes, returns the ticket, and assists the grandmother in boarding the train. In response, Vanya propels the elderly lady into a moving carriage. When she speaks from the platform, it becomes evident that Vanya has replaced her with an entirely different grandmother. Nikolai dispatches Vanya to catch up with the train and remove the incorrect grandmother, while he aids the legitimate traveler in returning to the carriage. However, the grandmother activates the rocket engine on her suitcase trolley and catches up with the train herself. As the train departs, Vanya vents his frustration regarding Nikolai's leniency, which had initially resulted in their separation. In retaliation, Nikolai switches Vanya to vacuum cleaner mode, prompting it to commence cleaning the platform and issuing threats upon returning to its body. Vanya stumbles upon a space mail ticket. Nikolai experiences a revelation, and the couple heads to the post office. Simultaneously, Pavel prepares for rest at Baragozin's residence, when Galina reminds him of specific unavailable options. Nikolai and Vanya embark on their journey to Earth inside a postal box, but a sorting mishap redirects the package off course, heading towards Pluto. In the meantime, Nikolai's family returns to Mars in a hacked rescue capsule, landing in the desert, where they spot their car passing by.